Mahaparishva collapsed to the ground, bathed in his own blood, and as he struggled to recover his strength, Rishabha took away his spiked iron club. But before the monkey chief could attack, Mahaparishva got up and punched him, making him fall down in a daze. Rishabha quickly recovered and again picked up the iron club, smashing it against Mahaparishva's chest. Blood gushed out from the wound, but still the Rakshasa attempted to take the club from Rishabha's hands. Before he could retake the club, the monkey chief smashed him over the head with it, causing the Rakshasa to fall down dead, his eyes and teeth completely crushed in. As the Rakshasa army began to flee in fear, the giant Rakshasa Atikaya attacked the monkeys from his chariot. Seeing Atikaya's colossal size, they thought that Kumbhakarna had come back to life and fearfully ran for the shelter of Rama. Rama was also amazed to see the gigantic Rakshasa and thus inquired about him from Vibhishana. Vibhishana explained this monstrous Rakshasa named Atikaya is the son of Ravana and Dhanyamalini. By performing severe austerities, he satisfied Lord Brahma, thus receiving benedictions, granting him immunity from death at the hands of demigods and demons. Lord Brahma also awarded Adhikaya weapons, armor, and a chariot. He thus became extraordinarily powerful. O Rama, in previous battles, Adhikaya was able to counteract the thunderbolt of Indra and nooses of Varuna. You should kill him at once before he eliminates the entire army of monkeys. While Vibhishana was speaking, many of the monkey leaders, attacked Aitikeya, but the huge Rakshasa tore to pieces all of the trees and mountain peaks that they hurled at him. As he began shooting the monkeys with his arrows, Atikaya appeared to be unconquerable, although he would not fight with any monkey that was not willing. Leaving the monkeys aside, Atikaya rushed at Rama, challenging him with insulting words. This enraged Lakshmana, who took up his bow and rushed at the Rakshasa. Although Atikaya was astonished to hear the twanging of Lakshmana's bow, he took his own arrow and said, You are merely a youngster and should leave the battlefield while you are still able to do so. Why do you foolishly stand before me, acting as if you want to give up your life? Lakshmana's anger flared even more after hearing his haughty words, and he replied with a similar challenge. As Atikaya placed an arrow on his bowstring, the demigods appeared overhead, anxious to see the upcoming duel. Atikaya released his arrow and Lakshmana split it in half with his own, prompting the irritated Rakshasa to quickly send five more. Lakshmana again cut them off and responded with a powerful arrow that pierced Atikaya's forehead, causing him to tremble violently. After recovering himself, Atikaya praised Lakshmana as a worthy opponent and then released a deluge of arrows. Lakshmana continued to foil Atikaya's arrows, causing the enraged Rakshasa to shoot an especially powerful arrow that entered Lakshmana's chest. Although bleeding profusely, Lakshmana took out an arrow and empowered it with a mystic mantra from the fire god Agni. When Lakshmana released the arrow, Atikaya employed a Surya weapon to counteract it. The two arrows collided in the sky, reducing each other to ashes and falling to the ground. Atikaya then released a Twasta weapon, and Lakshmana counteracted it with an Aindra weapon. Atikaya then discharged a Yama weapon, and Lakshmana neutralized it with a Vayu weapon. Lakshmana then released a steady stream of arrows, but they simply bounced off of Atikaya's armor and fell to the ground. Lakshmana shot 1,000 more arrows, but the undisturbed Atikaya was able to pierce him with a single shaft in the chest, causing him to fall unconscious. When Lakshmana recovered, he was able to knock down Atika's flag and then killed his horse and charioteer. However, despite releasing his most powerful arrows, Lakshmana could not even slightly wound the Rakshasa. At this time, Vayu approached Lakshmana, saying, "The armor Atika wears was formerly given to him by Lord Brahma and is impenetrable. Therefore, you should employ your Brahmastra to vanquish your enemy." Lakshmana fitted his ultimate weapon onto his bowstring and fired it at Atikaya. The Rakshasa shot many arrows to counteract the Brahmastra. When he saw that the weapon remained unimpeded, he began to hurl spears, clubs, and axes, but to no avail. Indeed, the Brahmastra quickly knocked off Atika's enormous head. As the severed head rolled on the ground, the dejected Rakshasas rushed back to the shelter of Lanka, while the monkeys ran to congratulate Lakshmana. Upon hearing the news of Atika's death, Ravana became deeply depressed. Feeling the situation hopeless, he brooded, "Rama and Lakshmana are inconceivably powerful. With their astounding prowess, they have already slain the best of my warriors. I can now understand that Rama is Lord Narayana himself, appearing in a human form. Although I had previously been informed of this fact, I considered it to be merely the ravings of cowards and fanatics. Who can possibly defeat Rama?" Turning to his ministers, Ravana said, "Make certain that the city's gates are heavily guarded. Increase the security around the Ashoka Grove. I want everyone to remain on full alert to watch the enemy's movements." Seeing his father with tears in his eyes and overwhelmed by grief and lamentation, Indrajit spoke up. "As long as I am still alive, there is no reason for you to grieve in this way. My dear father, I promise you that I will kill Rama and Lakshmana this very day." With the blessings of his father, Indrajit went to his sacrificial altar. He then took a living goat by the neck and threw it into the sacrificial fire as an offering. At once, the fire flared up brilliantly, forecasting victory for Ravana's pet son. Then Agni himself came out of the flames to accept the offering. Thereafter, Indrajit invoked the mantras that enabled himself, his donkey drawn chariot, and all his paraphernalia to become invisible. After dispatching his army to attack the enemy, Indrajit took an invisible position in the sky and began raining down his arrows upon the monkey soldiers. The monkeys attempted to retaliate by hurling numerous trees and rocks at the point where they thought the arrows had originated. But the Rakshasa deflected all the missiles while continuing to cut down as many as 9 monkeys with a single arrow. Indrajit then invoked the Brahmastra, causing heaven and earth to tremble. That supreme weapon produced countless arrows, which knocked all the monkey warriors onto the ground. Millions fell dead instantly. The invisible Indrajit continued to shower down spears, swords, and axes. The bewildered monkeys could see the weapons as they fell from the sky, but were unable to sight their assailant. Even Hanuman, Sugriv, Neela, and Jambavan fell to the ground wounded, and Rama and Lakshmana appeared to be eclipsed by Indrajit's weapons. Although covered by arrows, Rama remained O Lakshmana, undisturbed, saying, "O Lakshmana, I can understand that Indrajit is releasing arrows surcharged with the power of Lord Brahma. As long as this powerful Rakshasa remains invisible, no one will be able to conquer him. Therefore, it is best if we let ourselves be overcome by these arrows." When Indrajit sees that we have fallen unconscious, he will surely consider himself victorious and return to Lanka to inform Ravana. Rama and Lakshmana became seriously wounded by Indrajit's arrows and fell down unconscious on the ground. Seeing his enemies vanquished, Indrajit exulted with joy and returned to Lanka to tell his father. The surviving monkeys became exceedingly depressed to see Rama and Lakshmana's condition. Vibhishana assured them, O great heroes, do not lament, for Rama and Lakshmana have voluntarily put themselves in this helpless condition just to honor the weapons of Lord Brahma. Very soon they will rise up and vanquish the enemy. Hanuman then offered his respects to the Brahmastra and said, the fighting has subsided and night has fallen. Therefore, our first business should be to restore the remaining monkeys to confidence. Hanuman and Vibhishana then took up torches and began to wander over the battlefield. There they saw Sugriva, Angada, Nila, Nala, and some 6 million monkeys lying on the ground, all struck down by Indrajit's Brahmastra. They found Jambavan severely wounded and unable to see. Jambavan inquired, is Hanuman still living? Vibhishana asked him, why have you inquired about Hanuman and not about Rama, Lakshmana, Sugriva, and Angada? Jambavan replied, if Hanuman is living, then the army is still intact. If it is apparently massacred, Even if it is apparently massacred, but if Hanuman is dead, then the entire army is destroyed, even if the soldiers are apparently alive. Hearing this, Hanuman came forward, clasping Jambavan's feet. He said, rest assured that I am well. Jambavan instructed him, go quickly to the Himalayas and locate the Rishabha mountain. Between Rishabha and Kailasha is an effulgent mountain covered with powerful medicinal herbs that illuminate all directions. You must gather 4 of these herbs and bring them here. These herbs are Mritas Sanjeevani, which can restore even a dead man back to life, Vishalaya Karani, used for extracting weapons and healing wounds, Suvarna Karni, which restores the body's original luster, and Sandhani, which is used for healing fractured bones and joining severed limbs. If you can procure these herbs, then all the monkey heroes who have lost their lives can be revived. Hanuman became enlivened and swelled up with renewed energy. After going to the Trikuta mountain, Hanuman squatted down in preparation for a tremendous leap. The mountain peak crumbled from the mountain. Just a moment. Uh, Hare Krishna devotees. So I would request some devotee Prabhu if he can now continue reading. I request Shiv Kumar Rajendra Prabhu to carry on the reading. I'll give him access.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, just a moment. Hare Krishna, Shiv Kumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
So you can continue reading from Hanuman became enlivened.
Okay, Prabhu. Hanuman became enlivened and swelled up with renewed energy. After going to the Trikuta mountain, Hanuman squatted down in preparation for a tremendous leap. The mountain peak crumbled from his pressure and trees burst into flames from the friction he generated. Likewise, Lanka's palaces and city gates began to collapse, and the entire city trembled, striking all the citizens with fear. Hanuman first jumped to the Malaya mountains on the opposite side of the sea. Further expanding himself, Hanuman bowed to the sun god then again leapt into the air, drawing up huge rocks and trees in his wake. While soaring through the air at the speed of wind, Hanuman soon sighted the Himalayan mountains with their golden peaks. After sighting Mount Rishabha and Mount Kailasha, Hanuman located the mountain situated between them that Jambavan had described and was astonished to see its blazing effulgence. Hanuman searched frantically all over the mountain for the required herbs. However, the creepers had hidden themselves upon seeing the arrival of an intruder, so Hanuman could not locate them. Hanuman roared ferociously and challenged, "O mountain, if you try to impede the service of Lord Rama, I shall smash you into millions of tiny pieces." Receiving no response, Hanuman decided that if he could not find the herbs, he had better bring the mountain and let Jambavan find them for himself. Breaking off the top of the mountain, Hanuman sprang into the air and quickly flew the thousand yojanas to Lanka. As he landed on the peak of Trikuta mountain, all the monkeys shouted with joy. Jambavan quickly gathered the required herbs and placed them below the nostrils of Rama and Lakshmana for them to inhale, upon which their wounds were immediately healed. The herbs were then administered to the wounded monkeys, who all sprang to their feet as though rousing from a sound sleep. Even the monkeys that were previously killed were instantly revived by the herbs. Hanuman then quickly returned to the Himalayas and put the mountain peak back in its place. Hanuman had completed the entire mission in just one day, and when he returned to Lanka, night had already fallen. Sugriva told him, "My dear Hanuman, since all the dead Rakshasas have been thrown into the ocean on Ravana's order, we cannot estimate how many of them have been killed. Nevertheless, of all Ravana's sons, only Indrajit still survives. Thus, Lanka is now defenseless. I suggest we take up torches and invade the city at night to throw the enemy into confusion." Thus, the monkeys soon began their march to Lanka. When they approached the city gates, the Rakshasa gods fled in fear. The monkeys were able to enter without a fight. With torches in hand, the monkey soldiers ran through the streets of Lanka, setting all the palaces, gates, and walls ablaze. As the fire raged on all sides, thousands of burning buildings toppled to the ground. The whole of Lanka was in pandemonium. Burnt Rakshasas and animals ran wildly in all directions, wailing in anguish. Rama and Lakshmana took up their bows. Rama and Lakshmana took up their bows. When Rama twanged his bowstring, the sound was heard above the clamor, striking terror into the hearts of the Rakshasas. Rama then destroyed Lanka's principal gate with a barrage of arrows. When Ravana saw the destruction, he became mad with rage. The Rakshasa king dispatched Kumbha and Nikumbha, the sons of Kumbhakarna, along with many other Rakshasa heroes, including Aksha, Sonitaksha, Janga, and Kampana. Both the monkey and Rakshasa armies were eager for combat. Thus, when the battle ensued inside the gates of Lanka, the fighting was especially fierce. Amidst the slaughter of warriors on both sides, Angada suddenly rushed at Kampana. But when the Rakshasa struck him with his mace, Angada fell backwards, bereft of consciousness. The prince quickly recovered, and after picking up a huge mountain peak, he hurled it at Kampana, smashing him to death. The enraged Sonitaksha then rushed at Angada on his chariot and riddled him with arrows. But without faltering, Angada smashed the Rakshas's chariot and bowed with his bare hands. Sonitaksha was forced to jump down from his disabled carrier and take up his sword and shield. Angada quickly went and captured Sonitaksha, and after snatching the sword from his hand, slashed him with it. As Sonitaksha fell wounded, Angada rushed off to fight with the other Rakshasa chiefs. Yupaksha and Prajanga came to intercept Angada, while Sonitaksha got up and followed him from behind. Mainda and Vivida then rushed to Angada's aid, and the three monkeys locked in a fierce battle with the Rakshasa heroes. As the monkeys bombarded the Rakshasas with trees and mountain peaks, the Rakshasas tore them to pieces with their weapons. Prajanga rushed at Angada wielding a sword, but the son of Vali struck him down with a tree before he could attack. As Prajanga tried to stand up, Angada punched him, knocking him to the ground unconscious. Seeing this, Sonitaksha rushed forward and suddenly brought down his fist upon Angada's forehead. Although he was momentarily dazed, Angada quickly recovered, so that when Prajanga rushed again with renewed vigor, the prince was able to decapitate him with a mere slap of his hand. After witnessing the death of his uncle on the battlefield, Vipaksha got down from his chariot. Then, with tear-filled eyes, he rushed impetuously at Dvivida, sword in hand. Dvivida caught hold of the onrushing Rakshasa and began pounding him repeatedly in the chest. Seeing his brother captured, Sonitaksha ran up to Dvivida and violently struck him in the chest with his mace. Dvivida reeled back in a daze, but as Somitaksha lifted his mace to strike again, Dvivida caught hold of the weapon and wrested him from the Rakshasa's hands. Meanwhile, Mainda arrived on the scene and struck Vipaksha in the chest with his hand. Soon, Dvivida and Mainda became locked in a wrestling match with Vipaksha and Sonitaksha. Dvivida tore at Sonitaksha's face with his sharp nails, and after dashing him to the ground, crushed the Rakshasa to death with his knees. Mainda then pressed Vipaksha tightly in his arms, squeezing the life out of his body. After the death of these two heroes, the Rakshasa soldiers fearfully took shelter of Kumbha. The son of Kumbhakarna struck Dvivida down with an arrow, making him writhe on the ground in pain. Mainda then hurled a huge rock while rushing at Kumbha, but the Rakshasa broke it to pieces with 5 arrows. Then, with another arrow, Kumbha struck Mainda in the chest, making him fall unconscious. Seeing his two uncles fall severely wounded, Angada became enraged and madly rushed at Kumbha seeking revenge. Although numerous arrows struck him as he advanced, Angada remained unshaken. He released a shower of rocks upon Kumbha's head. However, Kumbha shattered the rocks and pierced Angada's eyebrows with 2 arrows. Despite the flowing blood covering his vision, Angada managed to grab a huge tree and hurl it at Kumbha. As the Rakshasa cut it to pieces, Angada fainted to the ground, too afflicted from his numerous wounds. The monkeys then went to Rama and told him of Angada's plight. Rama dispatched Jambavan and other monkey leaders to go to Angada's aid. As the monkey warriors approached, however, Kumbha checked them with a shower of arrows. Sugriva then rushed at Kumbha, throwing numerous trees. The Rakshasa, however, cut all the trees apart and shot Sugriva with numerous arrows. Still, Sugriva remained undaunted and he continued to advance with the of Kumbha's chariot. Suddenly, Sugriva snatched the bow from Kumbha's hands, breaking it in half. Then, quickly jumping down from the chariot, Sugriva said, "O Kumbha, you have certainly exhibited great prowess on the battlefield today. Your father was naturally endowed with great power, whereas Ravana achieved superior prowess from the benedictions of Lord Brahma. You, however, are powerful in both ways. O Rakshasa, I would have killed you just now, but since you are exhausted after so much fighting, I request you to return to Lanka for rest. Thereafter, we can fight more under fairer conditions. Kumbha appreciated Sugriva's noble words, but without accepting the offer, suddenly grabbed the Monkey King in his strong arms. As the two wrestled, the earth began sinking from the immense pressure upon it. Finally, Sugriva lifted Kumbha up and threw him into the ocean, causing waves as high as mountains to swell up in all directions. Kumbha, however, sprang back onto the land and rushed at Sugriva, then threw him to the ground and began beating him in the chest with his fists. Although his armor was smashed and blood gushed from his wounds, Sugriva clenched his powerful fist and pounded Kumbha's chest with all his might. The son of Kumbhakarna was crushed by Sugriva's blows and he fell to the ground mortally wounded. Seeing his elder brother slain, Nikumbha began to roar so loudly and swing his club so wildly that all the monkeys and Rakshasas became paralyzed with fear. As Hanuman came before him, Nikumbha struck him in the chest with his terrible club. But when the club hit mighty Hanuman, it nearly shattered into 100 pieces. Hanuman then smashed his clenched fist upon Nikumbha's chest, causing the Rakshasa to stagger backwards. Upon recovering himself, however, Nikumbha captured Hanuman in his arms and began to carry him away. Hanuman soon escaped Nikumbha's clutches and dashed his opponent to the ground. Hanuman then pounced upon his foe and began to crush him with his knees. At the same time, the heroic son of Vayu grabbed Nikumbha by the neck and began twisting until he tore the Rakshasa's head from his trunk. Upon witnessing this ghastly feat, the monkeys shouted with joy. When Ravana received news of Nikumbha's death, he ordered the son of Khara named Maharaksha to fight with Rama and Lakshmana. Maharaksha approached the battlefield boasting of his prowess, but inauspicious omens suggested his coming defeat. The whip slipped from his charioteer's hands, and his flagpole fell to the ground. His horses halted with tears in their eyes, seeming depressed. Likewise, a severe dust storm suddenly manifested, bringing gloom and darkness. Maharaksha, however, ignored these omens and confidently approached the battlefield. When the fighting began, Maharaksha slayed many monkeys with his arrows. Then, as the Rakshasa roared triumphantly and the monkeys fled for their lives, Rama took up his bow and began sending down torrents of arrows upon the Rakshasas. The enraged Maharaksha then challenged Rama with harsh words. Rama, however, merely laughed, exclaiming, "O proud fool, there has never been a war that was won merely by words." Maharaksha then released a steady stream of arrows, but Rama blasted them all to pieces with his bow. Then, coming to close quarters, the two fought furiously as demigods assembled overhead to witness the spectacular duel. Although Rama and Maharaksha deeply wounded each other, their strength seemed to only increase. Indeed, they shot so many arrows that the view of the battlefield was obscured. Then, flaring with rage, Rama split Maharaksha's bow in half, smashed his chariot to pieces, and killed his driver and horses. Jumping down from the broken chariot, Maharaksha took up a spear given to him by Rudra and pitched it at Rama. Rama, however, cut the spear to pieces with his arrows. Then, as Rama fitted an Agni weapon to his bowstring, Maharaksha madly rushed toward him with an upraised fist. But before the Rakshasa could reach him, Rama fired a celestial arrow that entered Maharaksha's heart and killed him. When the Rakshasa army saw their leader slain, they fled back to Lanka. Thereafter, Ravana ordered Indrajit to re-enter the battle. The prince again went to his sacrificial altar, pouring libations of ghee on the fire so as to increase his potency unlimitedly. Indrajit took another goat by the neck and threw it into the fire as an offering. As before, Agni personally came before him to accept the offering, and the fire blazed up brightly. Indrajit then mounted his chariot, protecting it and all his weapons with the potency of Lord Brahma. Shortly thereafter, Indrajit began showering his arrows upon Rama and Lakshmana from his invisible position in the sky. The sons of Dasharatha tried to counterattack Indrajit with celestial weapons, but none could touch the powerful son of Ravana. Then, using his mystic power, Indrajit made everything dark and assailed Rama and Lakshmana with a barrage of arrows, severely wounding them. Firing toward the direction of the arrows that rained down, Rama struck Indrajit, but the Rakshasa hero appeared undaunted. Finally, Lakshmana became frustrated by their seeming helplessness and declared, I will now invoke the Brahmastra and thereby destroy all the Rakshasas once and for all. Rama replied, My dear brother, while fighting with one enemy, it is not proper to kill others who are not taking part in the battle. I am also very eager to put an end to this powerful Rakshasa, but have patience and let us discharge more of our celestial weapons at him. Indrajit could then understand that Rama intended to finish him off quickly. Thus, he retreated hastily for Lanka. Soon afterwards, he set out again for the battlefield. However, this time he chose to remain visible, accompanied by an illusory Sita. Seeing Indrajit before them, all the monkeys, headed by Hanuman, rushed forward to attack. However, when they saw that Sita was also seated upon the chariot, they became extremely depressed. Then, while the monkeys looked on helplessly, Indrajit drew his sword and grabbed Sita by the hair. The illusory Sita cried out, Rama, Rama, and Indrajit punched her with his fist. Feeling unbearable agony, Hanuman shouted, You are the most abominable of all Rakshasas. I promise that you will soon be punished in the hell reserved for the killers of women. Saying this, Hanuman rushed at Indrajit, followed by many monkeys. However, the Rakshasa repelled them with his arrows. Indrajit declared, Watch me now as I kill Sita. A person who desires to win a war must be willing to give pain to the enemy. At that, Indrajit took his sword and violently slashed the illusory Sita's body diagonally, causing her to fall immediately to the ground in a pool of blood. Indrajit then taunted Hanuman, saying, Sita is now dead, proving all your endeavors to rescue her a useless waste of energy. Indrajit then let out a loud roar, causing the monkeys to scatter. Hanuman chastised the fleeing monkeys for being cowards. Then the army rallied and Hanuman began to massacre Rakshasas with a vengeance. From a great distance, Hanuman hurled a huge rock at Indrajit's chariot. The Rakshasa quickly maneuvered to avoid the rock, and when it landed, it crushed many Rakshasa soldiers, split the ground, and entered the bowels of the earth. Hanuman continued to slaughter many Rakshasas, while Indrajit attempted to check him with a storm of arrows. After some time, Hanuman thought, since Sita has been killed, it would be best for the monkey army to retreat so that I can report to Rama and receive his instructions. When Hanuman and the monkeys left the battle scene, Indrajit went to the sanctuary named Nikumbhila to make offerings into the sacrificial fire for the Rakshasas. From a distant place, Rama could see how the monkeys were fiercely fighting with Indrajit and sent Jambavan to aid them. Jambavan met Hanuman and the monkeys as they retreated. When Hanuman met Rama, he informed him of how Sita had been mercilessly slain by Indrajit. Immediately, Rama fell to the ground unconscious. The monkeys came quickly and sprinkled water to revive him. Lakshmana picked up Rama in his arms and lamented, "Oh, what terrible misfortune! It appears that virtue and vice have changed roles. Perhaps virtue is simply not strong enough to give a good result without the assistance of sufficient prowess. Therefore, it is best to just depend on one's prowess and forget all so called moral considerations. I hereby vow to destroy all of Lanka, including Indrajit and Ravana. My dear Rama, please remember your divine position as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu and thus give up your excessive sorrow." Vibhishana then came forward, having restored the monkey soldiers to confidence. Seeing the grief-stricken Lakshmana with Rama unconscious on his lap, he asked, "What has happened?" As Lakshmana began to explain Sita's death, Vibhishana interrupted, saying, "It is not possible that Sita has been killed by Indrajit, for Ravana would never voluntarily part with her. The Sita you saw being killed was certainly an illusory creation of the Rakshas's mystic power. O Lakshmana, you should immediately go to Nikumbila and kill Indrajit while he is busy making sacrificial offerings. If you do not attack him now, Indrajit will once again make himself invisible and become unassailable." Rama was too overwhelmed by grief to clearly understand what Vibhishana had said. He asked him to repeat himself. Vibhishana then explained further. Long ago, Indrajit performed severe austerities to satisfy Lord Brahma. Although the grandsire awarded Indrajit the Brahmastra and flying horses, he also predicted, "You will be killed by an enemy while engaged in performing sacrifices at Nikumbhila. Therefore, Lakshmana must go at once to kill him. Otherwise, he will become so powerful that all the monkeys will surely be slain." Hearing this, Rama ordered, "Lakshmana, take Hanuman, Vibhishana, and rest of the monkey army." Lakshmana touched Rama's feet, vowing to kill Indrajit as he departed. When Lakshmana approached Nikumbhila, he saw innumerable Rakshasas guarding it. Vibhishana advised, "Let their army be attacked first. When the Rakshasas are hard pressed, Indrajit will appear." When the battle had begun, Indrajit saw how his army was being assailed and mounted his chariot, even though his sacrifices remained incomplete. Hanuman was slaying many Rakshasa soldiers, but when Indrajit appeared, they suddenly took heart and rushed at him. As Hanuman continued to massacre Rakshasas, Indrajit released a torrent of arrows on Hanuman and the monkey soldiers. Hare Krishna Prabhu, should I continue?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. Uh,
Thank you, Prabhu.
Now I'll take over the mic. Vibhishana then, let me just stop the. Vibhishana then took Lakshmana to a place beneath a banyan tree where Indrajit offered oblations into the sacrificial fire before entering the battlefield. Vibhishana knew that Indrajit would soon come there to complete his rituals and urged Lakshmana to wait there and kill Indrajit when he returned. Lakshmana took his stand, and before long Indrajit did return. As Lakshmana challenged him to fight, Indrajit rebuked Vibhishana, saying, "Why does my own uncle come here to do me harm? I am the favorite son of your elder brother. Have you No feeling for your family? Have you feeling for your family members? You too are born in the Rakshasa dynasty. Have you no pride of your birth? Wicked fool! Can't you see how you have betrayed your kinsmen? Is there no difference between living with one's family and licking the feet of strangers? One's worst relative is always better than an outsider. Only you could act so treacherously. Vibhishana answered, O nephew, if you are truly concerned with dharma, then why do you reproach me, your elder? It is true that I have been born in a family of Rakshasas, but my nature is quite different. I hate impudence and cruelty. It is your father, not I, who caused this breach in our family. According to religious injunctions, it is one's duty to renounce all connections with sinful persons, even if they happen to be family relations. One who kidnaps another's wife is most abominable, and should be cast off like a snake that clings to one's body. To mistrust friends, to have sexual relations with the wife of another, or to steal others' property always lead to destruction. Ravana is doomed. Along with him, you and all of Lanka will be destroyed. O Indrajit, O Indrajit, you are merely a proud, ill-mannered boy. Say whatever you like, but soon you will lay down your life, riddled by the arrows of Lakshmana. Lakshmana was mounted upon Hanuman, and after an exchange of challenges, Indrajit suddenly pierced him with two arrows. Lakshmana responded by striking Indrajit in the chest with five arrows, and thus the fierce duel began. After some time Indrajit became pale and weakened from the onslaught of Lakshmana's arrows. Vibhishana urged Lakshmana to make short work of the Rakshasa. Lakshmana released more of his powerful arrows, causing Indrajit to become temporarily dazed. However, by quickly However, he quickly recovered, saying, Remember how I previously defeated you, and pierced Lakshmana with 7 arrows, Hanuman with 10, and Vibhishana with 100. Lakshmana, however, simply laughed, again covering Indrajit with arrows, and shattering his golden armor to pieces. However, when Indrajit retaliated with 1,000 arrows, Lakshmana's armor was also shattered. Thus, neither appeared to gain the upper hand. The fighting continued for a long time. Lakshmana and Indrajit assaulted each other with arrows, both determined to gain victory. Innumerable arrows pierced through their bodies and entered the earth, causing them to bleed profusely. The masses of arrows that had been counteracted were spread all over the ground like so much kusha grass. Neither Lakshmana nor Indrajit tired. As they fought, Vibhishana attacked the other Rakshasas, not wishing to fight with his nephew. The fighting between the two armies became very heated as Jambavan went on a rampage. Hanuman had Lakshmana get down from his back so that he too could join the melee, and proceeded to exterminate Rakshasas by the thousands. As the sun sank below the horizon, the sky became exceedingly dark, covered by the incessant flow of arrows shot by Lakshmana and Indrajit. Their two bows worked so quickly that the motion of their arms could not be discerned. Lakshmana shot an arrow that beheaded Indrajit's driver, and the Rakshasa had to drive his chariot and simultaneously shoot his arrows. This allowed Lakshmana the opportunity to pierce his adversary more easily, and after some time Indrajit began to lose strength. Four monkey warriors then jumped upon Indrajit's horses, ripping them to pieces with their sharp teeth and claws. The monkeys then proceeded to smash the chariot to pieces. Indrajit was forced to dismount. In the dense darkness, Lakshmana began to close in on his foe. Indrajit ordered the Rakshas to keep the monkeys engaged while he re entered Lanka for a new chariot. After some time, Indrajit returned to the battlefield with renewed enthusiasm and began slaying monkeys by the thousands, causing the army to run to Lakshmana's shelter. Lakshmana then snapped Indrajit's bow and punctured his chest with 5 arrows. At that, Indrajit picked up a stronger bow, but Lakshmana counteracted all the arrows he released. Lakshmana flared up with energy and proceeded to strike every Rakshasa with 2 arrows, while wounding Indrajit at the same time. Indrajit responded with a flurry of arrows, and Lakshmana severed the charioteer's head and fired at the horses, throwing them into confusion. All the while, Indrajit's arrows bounced off Lakshmana's armor. Considering his armor to be impenetrable, Indrajit began to shoot Lakshmana in the forehead. Although wounded, Lakshmana quickly struck Indrajit in the face with 5 arrows. Indrajit then stabbed Vibhishana's face with 3 arrows, causing him to rush at his nephew in a fit of rage, wielding his club. As Vibhishana pounded his horses to death, Indrajit jumped down from the chariot and hurled a spear at his uncle. At that, Lakshmana intervened, chopping the spear to pieces with his arrows. Then, when Vibhishana punctured Indrajit's chest with 5 arrows, Indrajit knocked the terrible Yama weapon onto his bowstring. Seeing this danger, Lakshmana took out a wonderful arrow awarded to him by Kuvera in a dream. When both weapons were released, they collided in mid-air, brightly lighting up the entire night sky and causing a huge explosion as they shattered into hundreds of pieces amid crackling sparks and billowing smoke. Lakshmana then released a Varuna weapon, and Indrajit neutralized it with a Rudra weapon. Taking the offensive, taking the offensive, Indrajit shot an Agni weapon, but Lakshmana successfully counteracted it with a Surya missile. Indrajit then put an Asura weapon on his bowstring that immediately brought forth numerous swords, clubs, chakras, and axes. However, by employing a Rudra weapon, Lakshmana neutralized it. Indrajit had gradually begun to lose heart when Lakshmana selected a wonderful weapon belonging to King Indra. As he placed the invisible weapon on his bowstring, drawing it back to his ear, Lakshmana prayed, O chief of the celestials, if Rama is truly the unrivaled Lord and the shelter of truth and virtue, let this weapon kill Ravana's son. That effulgent arrow soared swiftly through the air and cut off the head of Indrajit, the Rakshasa who had been the greatest embodiment to Lord Rama's army of monkeys. As the panic stricken Rakshasas ran in all directions, the monkeys shouted with joy, jumping up and down. In the sky, demigods and rishis cried out ecstatically, praising Lakshmana's victory. Then, as the denizens of heaven showered flowers upon the heroes, the monkeys danced with joy, lashing their tails and shouting, Jai Rama, Jai Lakshmana. Exhausted and severely wounded, Lakshmana leaned upon Vibhishana and Hanuman as he came before Rama to circumambulate him. Vibhishana then narrated the entire story of Indrajit's defeat. Listening intently, Rama experienced a transcendental pleasure. After congratulating Lakshmana and smelling his head with great affection, Rama said, Indrajit was just like Ravana's right arm. Now that he has been killed, after 3 days and nights of battle, the Rakshasa king will surely come out to fight. Lakshmana was tormented with pain from the numerous wounds inflicted upon him by Indrajit's arrows. Therefore, Rama ordered Susena to treat him and all the wounded monkeys. Later, when Susena had Lakshmana inhale the vapors of a certain medicinal herb, Lakshmana was delighted to find that all his pain vanished and his wounds suddenly healed. Ravana's ministers informed him how Lakshmana had killed Indrajit with the assistance of Vibhishana. Ravana fainted upon hearing the news and only after a long time regained consciousness. Ravana lamented sorely over the death of his beloved heir apparent. Becoming possessed by mad anger, Ravana decided to take revenge by killing Sita. As he announced this, his appearance was so fierce that the other Rakshasas hid themselves out of fear. Ravana called for his impenetrable armor, bow, and arrows, all awarded him by Lord Brahma. He declared, I will now enact in reality what Indrajit merely did as a conjuring trick, simply to torment the enemy. Ravana violently unsheathed his sword and rushed to the Ashok grove, followed by Mandodari and several of his ministers. Although these well-wishers tried their best to restrain him, Ravana soon arrived before the terrified Sita. As he waved his sword menacingly, Sita could understand that he intended to kill her. Sita wondered, what has happened to make the wicked Rakshasa king come here like this before my allotted 12 months have elapsed? Has he become too frustrated by my repeated refusals? Is he simply going to kill me out of desperation? Being unable to defeat Rama and Lakshmana, I should have taken Hanuman's advice and let him carry me back to Rama on his back. Then I never would have been put into this ghastly situation. Feeling compassion for the grief stricken Sita, a pious minister named Suparsva addressed Ravana. O Lord, you have studied all the Vedas and observed the strictest vows. How can you even think of harming a woman like this? Let the lovely Sita be. Instead, vent your wrath upon your real enemy. Today is the 14th day of the dark lunar fortnight. Tomorrow, as the new moon emerges, march against Rama and his monkey hordes and obtain victory. I am sure that after killing Rama, you will be able to enjoy Sita to your heart's content. Why should you prematurely frustrate your ardent desire in this way? Ravana accepted this flattering advice. He then gave up the idea of killing Sita and returned to his palace. Sitting morosely upon his throne, Ravana, still mourning the loss of his favorite son, gave the following order. I want all remaining Rakshasas to go at once and attack Rama together. If they are unable to kill him, then tomorrow I will go personally to fight with him. Just before dawn, the Rakshasas rushed out from the city to fight with the monkeys, and a furious battle ensued. The incited Rakshasas quickly butchered many monkey soldiers, causing those remaining to run to the shelter of Rama's lotus feet. Rama then employed a spectacular Gandharva weapon that shot forth unlimited streams of arrows upon the Rakshasas. The showers of arrows were so dense that the Rakshasas could no longer see Rama. All they could see was the decimation of innumerable Rakshasa soldiers. Because of the Gandharva weapon, Rama sometimes appeared invisible, and at other times the Rakshasas saw 1,000 Ramas standing before them in all directions. Within 90 minutes, Rama massacred 2 lakh foot soldiers, 18,000 elephant warriors, 14,000 cavalry men, and numerous chariot fighters. The survivors then fled back to the safety of Lanka as the demigods in the sky ecstatically praised Rama for his victory. Rama said, O great monkey heroes, you should know that the ability to employ such celestial weapons is only possible for myself and Lord Shiva. Meanwhile, in Lanka, the widows of the slain Rakshasas grouped together. Um, hmm. So we will stop here and we'll continue reading from page number 235, 435, sorry. And if devotees, if they have any questions, they can post post in the questions tab, or they can ask. Okay, we'll wrap it for today then. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय।